responsible. Think about it. Take a break. We'll be back right after this.
This is a CBS News special report, part of our continuing coverage of America at War. From CBS News headquarters in New York, here is Dan Rather.
Good day, and we're going to take you immediately to a position right along the Iraqi-Kuwait border where CBS News correspondent and 60 Minutes 2 co-editor Scott Pelley is standing by. Scott, there's been some combat in that region, is my understanding. Tell us what's happening.
Dan, we have a battle going on just now right here along the border with Iraq. I'm just probably 50 or so feet from the Iraqi border. A coalition attack helicopter or two, might have been Apaches, might have been Cobras, just flew over the border and launched 9 rockets on Iraqi positions. We assume they were Hellfire missiles, which is the standard ground attack missile for the U.S. Apache helicopter. This began about 15 or 20 minutes ago. We can still hear the helicopters behind us. And this would be a pretty typical American doctrine attack ahead of any armored advance in this area. We can't say, of course, because of operational security, exactly where we are on the border. I understand we have some videotape of the attack that we shot here from our position just a few minutes ago. We saw a number of Hellfire missiles launched from the helicopters. Obviously, it's nighttime, so we did not see the helicopters themselves, but we could hear them, and we could see the engines of the Hellfire missiles propelling them down to the Iraqi positions, and then each time there would be a loud explosion. We have had quite a bit of skirmishing along the border today, Dan. U.S. and British forces are essentially in front of me. The Iraqi border is immediately behind me. All during the day, we've heard coalition artillery and tanks sending rounds downrange into Iraqi positions. But it wasn't a serious organized attack. It seemed really all day to be harassing fire. But tonight, as soon as the sun went down, it got fully dark. We started to hear the helicopters coming, and this is a much more organized offensive across the border inside Iraq. Coalition helicopters firing a number of missiles, presumably on Iraqi positions. Dan?
Scott, let's take this from the top. Insofar as you could determine what touched off this battle, was it Iraqi artillery? Was it the firing? We know at least one Scud was fired. At least, let me say, we have reason to believe that at least one Scud has been fired. But what touched off this particular battle? And for those of you who maybe join us in progress, Scott, excuse me, let me point out that we're on the air now because Scott Pelley is right along the Kuwait-Iraqi border. There has been some exchange of fire there. But Scott, what touched it off, do you know?
Dan, it does not seem to be any response to anything that the Iraqis did. It has been very quiet here for the last hour or so. As you mentioned, the Iraqis launched at least 3 missiles into Kuwait earlier today. That was several hours ago. But apparently these forces had been waiting for nightfall because as soon as it got completely dark here, we could hear the helicopters coming. They went right over the border. There is a mountain behind us, which you can't see in the darkness, but on that mountain there are a number of communications towers, which we always expected to be among the first targets hit. And we've known all day long that there were Iraqi forces not far over the border, perhaps Iraqi armor. As you know, Dan, these attack helicopters are used principally for attacking armor on the ground, armored personnel carriers, artillery tubes, and main battle tanks. And that may be what we're seeing tonight. Presumably, the pilots will be using their night vision equipment and their Apache target acquisition equipment, which can see in total darkness and illuminate the enemy. And these Hellfire missiles are, of course, very precise guided missiles. We've heard about 9 of them fired so far. The helicopters are still there. I can hear them, but we haven't had any missile launches in the last minute or so.
Scott, do you know whether the helicopters involved are the so-called Super Cobra, which is an attack and recon helicopter, the standard Apaches, or the new and greatly improved with longer range and a lot of more sophisticated equipment Apache longbows? Do you know what kind of helicopters, from perhaps more than one kind, has been involved?
Well, that's right, Dan. It may be more than one kind, and we don't know precisely which one. As you know, the Army flies the Apache, the Marine Corps flies the Cobra, and we also have a large number of British forces at this position mixed in with American forces. It's not inconceivable that this could be a British attack or a combined Allied attack. It's unclear which helicopters are being used, but clearly they are attack helicopters firing a missile very much like the Hellfire, if not the Hellfire itself.
Scott Pelley reporting live from along the Kuwait-Iraqi border where there is combat. This raises the possibility that there's going to be a sort of reverse order to what was the expected attack. Last night's firing in Baghdad was at a specific target. It was expected that what would follow in a few hours, if not days, would be a massive U.S. air campaign followed by a ground attack. Now, hearing and seeing what Scott Pelley reported, this raises the possibility that the ground attack is actually going to be launched before or maybe simultaneously with the massive air attack. We just don't know, but you should be open to the possibility that the ground attack has already begun, given what Scott Pelley is reporting there. Now, there's a new word of a possible, and I underscore the word possible, gas alert in Kuwait City. We go live to CBS News correspondent Mark Phillips. Mark, what are the facts insofar as we know them?
The facts are that we just had an alert here. That's the fourth one that we've had today, and the all clear has now blown, a long, steady siren following the intermittent wailing sound that's been a feature of life here over the past 12 or 18 hours or so. This may not be war yet, but it's sure beginning to feel like it around here. It's been a day of high anxiety and no small amount of confusion either. There have been four, as I say, separate alerts here, people scurrying through the streets, people going into shelters, those who have them putting on gas masks and chemical suits, anti-chemical weapon suits. A large number of the population, in fact the majority of course, don't have that kind of equipment. But there have been several instances here over the course of the day of reports coming in from the field as well of there having been Iraqi missile strikes around and about the various military positions, American and British, in the Kuwaiti desert, and reports as well of at least one of those missiles having been shot down by an American Patriot anti-missile missile. So even in the prelude to the launch of the main attack here, it certainly feels like war is already underway. Dan?
Oh, there's no doubt about that. The nation is at war. No one should be mistaken about that. Now, we want to talk about the reports that it